Joanie Laurer. She is from Londonderry, New Hampshire.
I've been training really hard at the gym every day. And the reason for this is because I feel that it's time for a new breed of female pro wrestlers.
Now, I've wrestled men, I've wrestled women, and I beat them all.
I felt in here that I had this gift and I was so strong and it motivated me to push forward. Take a look at that. It's like an onion. Peel that back, makes a grown man cry. My athletic ability and love of entertainment, I put the two together and Chyna became a household name. I have no family. I have no friends.
Then I was like picking up the bottle and I was like, I'm gonna die.
In the dynamic world of professional wrestling, few names have left as profound a mark as Chyna. Born Joanie Laurer, this formidable athlete redefined what it meant to be a female wrestler in WWE during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Chyna's remarkable presence, physical prowess and trailblazing achievements shattered gender barriers, earning her the title of the ninth wonder of the world. Chyna's rise to prominence began in 1997 when she made her WWE debut as the imposing bodyguard for Triple H. She quickly worked to become a pivotal member of D-Generation X, one of the most influential factions in wrestling history, and challenged the traditional portrayal of women in the industry. In this video, we'll explore the glory of WWE's Chyna, highlighting her groundbreaking accomplishments, her impact on women's wrestling, and her enduring legacy, and how she proved that women could be more than valets or managers, they could be a dominant force in their own right.
Says if parents don't like the pictures they see when wrestling is on TV, they can do something about it.
And it's very simple. If you don't like it, if you don't want your kids to see it, all you gotta do is turn that knob.
Chyna's groundbreaking moment came in 1999 when she entered the Royal Rumble, becoming the first and only woman to compete in the male-dominated event. Up until that point, this feat demonstrated her fearlessness and shattered stereotypes, proving that she was capable to go toe-to-toe with the male competitors in the WWF. Beyond her involvement with male opponents, Chyna was a formidable competitor in the women's division. Her wrestling ability, combined with her charisma and captivating presence, made her a role model for aspiring female wrestlers and fans around the world.
Well, I don't think women have impacted wrestling. I think Chyna has impacted wrestling. I'd like to see more women like me out there.
Her influence extended beyond her in-ring accomplishments, however. Chyna's persona inspired young girls to embrace their strength and individuality, encouraging them to pursue their dreams, regardless of societal norms or gender expectations. She exemplified the mantra that anything men can do, women can do too, and she did it with unmatched grace. Chyna's presence in WWE served as a catalyst for change, challenging long-standing gender norms within the wrestling industry. Her portrayal as a strong and independent woman paved the way for other female athletes to break free from those roles and showcase their talent on a grand stage. Chyna's contribution to women's wrestling can be seen in the women's evolution era that followed, where WWE began emphasizing the in-ring ability and character development of the female wrestlers. Her influence helped shatter the glass ceiling for women in wrestling, fostering an environment where female competitors are celebrated for their skills and dedication to the craft, not just their looks.
Welcome everyone to the Wrestle Pod. Subscribe now for more pro wrestling and pop culture content.
Being one to never take no for an answer, as I would drive 5 hours for a 2-second audition where I knew that I wasn't right for the part.
Usually when I cover the often sad and tragic real-life stories of these beloved pro wrestlers, I would research their early years and give you a small introduction into the place of their birth, where they grew up and how that eventually transitioned into training to get into the ring. However, this isn't that sort of story. To understand what gave Joanie the physical skills and mental fortitude needed to become the ninth wonder of the world, and the family turmoil and deep sense of loss she would later go on to struggle with, we must first look at where it all began. Joanie was the third of 3 sisters when she was born 2 days after Christmas in 1969 in New York. Her first few years were engulfed in heated arguments and violent outbursts from both of her parents, who were both dealing with mental health issues and struggling with alcohol abuse problems. Things got so bad that during one ferocious tussle, her drunken father accidentally stabbed her mother in the leg with a kitchen knife. This led to her father threatening to end his own life. By the time she was only 4, her parents had divorced. What had seemed like a nightmare environment for the development of a young child was only about to become more unpredictable. From 1973, Joanie and her 2 sisters and mother would travel from town to town. Over the next 4 years there was no stability, seeing both of her biological parents remarrying. Attempting to return to some sort of normal life for her 3 kids, Joanie's mother enrolled her and her siblings at Penfield High School. However, during her time studying, Joanie would attract the unwanted attention of a paedophile teacher who attempted to kiss her and assault her on several occasions, a traumatic event which no innocent child should ever be subjected to. The stress caused by this situation began to harm Joanie's mental health. Joanie wanted to regain some of the power in her life. It was at this time where she began struggling with a severe eating disorder and started to drastically lose weight. She was losing belief in those around her, lacking trust in authority after seeing people in positions of control over her regularly abuse that power. Her mother was depressed and unstable, her father suicidal and violent, and now this teacher had shown himself a disgusting person with his sexual misconduct.
I was feeling really alone. I was having a really hard time with I hadn't gotten over the abuse issues.
Joanie began using recreational drugs as a means of escape. A year later, her mother attempted to have her placed into a rehabilitation centre, something which the young woman refused on several occasions. By the age of 16, Joanie had left her mother's home and began living with her biological father and stepbrothers. Only months later, Joanie was accepted for a United Nations scholarship and finished her final year of high school in Spain. A chance to escape was exactly what this young woman needed, branching out with her own freedom, allowing her time to discover herself and decide what she wanted to be. When she returned to the US, she attended and graduated from the University of Tampa, where she used her time in Spain to her advantage. Joanie majored in Spanish literature and also spent her time learning French and German. After graduation, she didn't want to return back to her troubled past. She quickly set to work, enrolling in the Peace Corps, and travelled to Guatemala and Costa Rica. It was here she found her love for entertaining children as she taught English. In her early 20s, she returned to the US, where she lived with her biological sister, whilst rebuilding her relationships with her other siblings. Joanie felt mentally healthy for the first time in years and seemed to have overcome her traumatic past, with her eyes firmly set on the future.
I tried to do every single entertainment avenue that I could possibly do. Joanie Laurer was desperately trying to break into show business, but was still very also insecure. I did singing telegrams where I wore the big retarded, Valentine's gimmicks. I had to go through the doors sideways at, auto dealers and offices, and I popped out at cakes, and I belly danced, and got to sing goofy little jingles, and I had a blast doing it. I remember thinking, okay, that's not really working. Nobody's discovered me yet.
Another tragedy seemed just around the corner for Joanie as she applied for a job as a flight assistant. After getting the job, she was excited as she drove to the airport for her first flight. However, on the way, she was involved in a horrific road traffic collision and spent a week in hospital. Now, Joanie had finally managed to overcome her initial struggles with her mental health, but had suffered damage to her physical well-being and felt as if she was back at square one.
Outstanding job, Joanie. Come join me over here. You are in incredible shape. Have you competed before?
During her time living with her biological father, her stepbrothers were extremely enthusiastic about working out in the gym and started to encourage their younger sister to do the same.
Since the time I was 15 years old, I started lifting weights, watching my brother and his friends, and mostly men who were very supportive, egging me on to lift more weight every day, and who really made me feel proud and cool.
In 1995, Joanie began to see the physical changes driven by her hard work and felt as if she was once again taking control back over her own life. I think I was given a genetic gift to be 5'10" and to have a big frame. I took that to a different level and developed the body of an elite female athlete. I put that at the forefront so people can really relate to that, because maybe there are other women out there that want to look like I do, but they're ridiculed, or they're told that it's not okay, or what society deems is beautiful, or you should starve yourself and look like a beanpole with fake breasts, because that's the only thing that's going to get you looked at. It's not true.
Joanie is 25 years old and stands 5 foot 10 inches tall. And all muscle, she weighs 150 pounds.
In 1996, she began competing in local fitness competitions in and around New York. These competitions were a hybrid of dancing, aerobics and fitness routines mixed with beauty pageantry, and the women prancing around with unnatural smiles, dripping in fake tan to show off their perfectly sculpted bikini-clad bodies, all to be judged by a small panel of overweight middle-aged men who seemingly struggled to view the actions through their clouds of thick cigar smoke.
Fitness competition so I guess I'd have to say I just wanted something in between bodybuilding and creative, energizing aerobics, and so fitness was my option. I started doing that about a year ago.
As soon as Joanie appeared on the stage at these events, it was clear to everyone that she was different to all the other competitors. Her dance routines were more frantic and more fast-paced than the other women. Her jumps were higher, her running around and flailing her arms was faster, her muscles were bigger, and she was so much taller. If this was a real fight, Joanie could have eaten her rivals for breakfast and still had time to do whatever breakdancing parkour nightmare this is. However, these competitions were also heavily marked on how pretty you are, how classically feminine and how sexually attractive these elderly men found you when they were marking their scoreboards. And even if Joanie was a physical specimen at this time, an impressive example of hard work and dedication to exercise and healthy living, even Antonio Inoki would say that she had a bit of a big chin. And this was seemingly enough to have Joanie's other physical attributes overlooked. In 1996, she placed dead last when she appeared at the prestigious Fitness America competition in New York, and quickly realised that her unique physique would never be fully appreciated in the world of beauty pageantry, but had already begun to make steps in a world where being a 5'10" muscle-clad beast of a woman could make you into a worldwide star.
I was called everything from a man to a lesbian to a just extremely rejected and extremely unaccepted.
Before I was ever a World Wrestling Federation superstar, that's what I did. I worked out, and that's become a part of my lifestyle and my job. Although I am the only woman who wrestles with the men, I've been able to hold my own, and what we do is entertainment. However, I still get hit just as hard as the guys, and I have to be able to pick them up and throw them around and maintain the body of an elite female athlete. I think there are more and more women out there working out now, and we live in a fit society, and women aren't trying to look like Barbie anymore, they're trying to look like Chyna, and I think that's great. Her passion for fitness and countless hours in the gym saw Joanie introduced to a personal trainer, a man who goes by a name that would be so perfect for a wrestler, Jerry Blaze. The two shared their dedication and eventually became involved in a romantic relationship with one another. This relationship would see Joanie stepping up her workout routines and driving to become more consistent in her approach to bodybuilding. The pair would regularly be in the gym twice a day, with their first session of weightlifting starting at 5 AM before a rest period, followed by extended time in the boxing ring during the afternoon and hours spent on treadmills in the evening. This dramatic increase in exercise saw Joanie gain 30 pounds of all natural, all pure muscle.
Men, they're always trying to impress me.
Hey, Jeff!
They think big muscles are all I care about.
Hey, Chyna!
The truth is, I like brains and brawn.
Hey, Chyna!
Many of Chyna's detractors can say what negative things they want to say about this woman, but nobody can deny her sheer belief in herself and bravery to go out and try something new, even if it meant uprooting her life and moving to another state. She did just that with Jerry at her side, along with all that hardly earned muscle she had packed on. Joanie moved to Massachusetts and began attending Killer Kowalski's professional wrestling school.
How long have you been in wrestling?
About 6 months, and it feels like a lot longer because
I have found my element, so I feel like I've been doing it forever.
From the minute we walked through the door, he couldn't stop staring at Joanie. He had this look in his eyes like, she's different, she's special. It was the weirdest chemistry I've ever seen. He knew, he just knew. Something which would go on to change the rest of her life, but that Joanie admits was more brutal and more unforgiving than she had ever anticipated before she walked through those famous doors.
Yes, I came all the way from Boston, under the tutelage of Killer Kowalski to kick some butt down here. And let me tell you something. Ladies, I'm going to get your belt. And guys, I'm going for your belt. Hear that?
This moment is one of pure joy. Isn't it one of life's most ideal pleasures? When you can witness someone in the right place at the right time, who had prepared in just the right way, find something that they love to do, which brings happiness to others and allows that person to use their unique set of skills.
And anybody else that steps in that ring is going to do the same thing, because I'm going to leave them behind me like the trash I left that out yesterday morning.
Before her first match against a male cross-dressed wrestler, Joanie became Joanie Lee. She was booked by Fabulous Moolah in several other local matches at this time, and it was clear Joanie was destined to be a superstar. All of the things that had held her back in the past were aligning in her favour.
I remember going to Marshall's and buying a bathing suit, getting some big volleyball pads. I didn't really know what I was doing, and there was 5 people in the audience, and I was thrilled, of course.
She had found what she wanted to do and the people that she wanted to do it with. In September of 1996, Joanie Lee became the International Wrestling Federation's Women's Champion when she defeated Violet Flame. At the end of the year, she was awarded with the Professional Girls Wrestling Association Rookie of the Year.
I want the guys, but I'm going to be the first, the biggest, the baddest, the new role model for female wrestlers. Got that?
A year later, in 1997, WWF was coming to Massachusetts, and all of this newfound confidence pushed Joanie to make sure once again she was in the right place at the right time.
When I first started, which was 3 years ago, nobody wanted me there. The guys were cruel to me, and they didn't want me there, and there was no way they were going to fight me.
Everywhere you look, on the magazines, on the TV, on the beer commercials, whatever people are trying to sell, there is a beautiful woman to go along with it. But you have to show other kind of women. There are beautiful women of all shapes and sizes.
You might be the world's most dangerous man, but I'm bringing something with me even deadlier than that.
In January of 1997, Joanie got in her car with her muscles pumped and her focus solely on one goal. She had persuaded her wrestling trainer and WWE Hall of Famer Killer Kowalski to get her a chance at the big time. She arrived at the WWF show in Massachusetts and immediately fell in love with the grandeur of the event. After the matches had all taken place, the pair went backstage. It was here that Joanie waited for an hour until the pros started to leave the locker room. With a lump in her throat, she pushed past a number of other fans who were waiting for autographs and introduced herself to none other than Shawn Michaels and Triple H. The ease with which she had parted the large crowd and her dedication to making herself known in any other business could be seen as rude and would probably get you removed from most job interviews. But this is not most jobs, and this is not any other business. This is pro wrestling. She came home that night and never slept. We knew her life was about to change. She was so excited and also a little scared. The two pros went back to their hotel, talking about this giant woman for the entire car ride. The way she had expertly managed the crowd gave the pair an idea. They wanted to be seen as huge celebrities every time they made their ways onto our television screens and as they entered the ring. And of course, all big-time A-listers have to have a bodyguard who keeps the grovelling masses from interacting with them. But other wrestlers had used enforcers, protectors and bodyguards in the past. This was the Attitude Era, and Shawn Michaels and Triple H wanted to lead that change. But what if their enforcer was a woman? Initially, a lot of old-timers, including myself, didn't think it was appropriate, but she overcame all of that apprehension and proved people wrong. Chyna was a trailblazer. She broke all kinds of barriers. Killer Kowalski played no small part of this time too. He made contact with Shane McMahon and reinforced to him what the son of the owner of WWF had been hearing from Triple H and Shawn Michaels backstage. I introduced her to Shane McMahon, the son of Vince McMahon. I tried to explain to him that on my answering machine at home I had received a message from Kevin Nash of World Championship Wrestling. Nash and Triple H called us to take this here girl that you've trained and tried to hire her, that she might be pretty good. I told Shane McMahon the whole story and I said WCW is interested in this girl, why don't you guys take her? I talked to him twice again and he said, we'll hire her. And now a different type of plant. Throughout the long history of pro wrestling, many performers have started their on-screen careers by pretending to be fans who were later called out from the crowd or burst out through their own free will. The ninth wonder of the world and pioneer of female athletes, Chyna, made her WWF debut as a muscled fan who got involved to strangle the unsuspecting Terry. The following night, the WWE fans eagerly tuned into Monday Night Raw, anticipating another memorable appearance from this enigmatic figure who had taken the wrestling world by storm. As the lights dimmed and the cameras panned to the ring, there she was, Chyna, the enforcer and bodyguard for the infamous DX, which had been co-founded by none other than the legendary Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Chyna's original role in the promotion was that of a stoic presence, and she had quickly become an indispensable asset to H and Shawn Michaels. The rising villainous faction revelled in the chaos she brought to their rivals, often relying on her physically dominant presence to tip the scales in their favour. With a reputation for employing her trademark low blow to the groin, she unapologetically used every means necessary to secure victory for her team. However, Chyna's journey to success was not without its challenges. Backstage, some of the male wrestlers initially hesitated to fully embrace the idea of a woman overpowering them in the ring. Men are naturally stronger than women after all. Wrestling had long been seen as a predominantly male domain, and her presence disrupted the traditional norms of the industry. Yet, as she continued to demonstrate her incredible athleticism and determination, the doubters began to respect her abilities. During her eventful tenure as a prominent member of DX, Chyna found herself entangled in an intriguing and controversial romantic storyline with none other than Mark Henry, a formidable member of the rival stable known as the Nation of Domination. The saga began unfolding in August of '98, when The Rock, a prominent figure within the Nation, issued a humiliating directive to Henry to kiss Chyna in front of the world, intending to belittle and embarrass her. Ever the strong-willed and defiant character, Chyna didn't take this affront lying down, asserting her strength and independence, refusing to be objectified or manipulated. This unexpected resistance piqued Henry's interest, and he found himself drawn to Chyna, both captivated and intrigued by her spirit. After her notable storyline with Henry, Chyna made history as the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble, becoming the first woman ever to participate in the match. Chyna upset WWF owner Vince McMahon in the corporate rumble at the end of Raw, when Stone Cold Steve Austin ran in and distracted McMahon just after he eliminated Big Boss Man and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, allowing Chyna to throw McMahon over the top rope. Chyna's victory won her the right to be the final number 30 entry in the Royal Rumble. Soon after, she took a villainous turn by betraying Triple H and forming an alliance with his adversaries, Vince McMahon and Kane. At the St. Valentine's Day Massacre pay-per-view, Chyna teamed up with Kane to face their former allies, X-Pac and Triple H. During WrestleMania 15, she shockingly attacked Kane with a chair, seemingly to rejoin DX. However, later that evening, Chyna and Triple H revealed their true intentions by assisting Shane McMahon in defeating DX member X-Pac. This unexpected move led them to join forces with the corporation, and subsequently Shane McMahon's corporate ministry. Following the dissolution of the corporate ministry, the villainous Chyna continued to stand by Triple H's side. However, their on-screen partnership eventually came to an end later that year.
The wonderful thing about what I do is that I really have been able to make a mark, and I have my cake and eat it too.
In her pursuit of transforming her appearance, Chyna made a decision to temporarily step away from the WWE in 1999 to undergo breast enhancement surgery. Additionally, she opted for a nose job and had her jaw surgically altered and reshaped, feeling that its natural squareness did not align with prevailing beauty standards of the time. During her time off, these alterations were undertaken to soften her overall look and enhance her attractiveness in the world of professional wrestling. Both Ramirez and Johnson are fans of Chyna. The former Joanie Laurer of Rochester, who has become a playboy posing WWF Superstar. 3 years ago, she was brought in as Triple H's bodyguard, Johnson says. She was basically a sideshow. Here was this woman bigger than half the guys. She had a very scary look to her, and she would beat up whoever she fought. She started gaining her own popularity, and she had all this surgery done to make her look more feminine, and along the way she became the poster child for the WWF woman. Laura's transformation yielded compelling results, as she emerged as a dual symbol of empowerment and sexuality. One moment, she would fearlessly snarl during a mid-body slam, embodying strength and determination in the ring. Yet the next day she would confidently pose, adorned with bright red lipstick and a thong, epitomizing the glamour and allure that often intertwines with beauty standards in pro wrestling. It's important to recognise that the ideals of beauty within the WWE have been subject to both criticism and evolution over the years. In the past, there was a tendency to prioritise a narrow and conventional perception of beauty, which often emphasised specific body shapes and features. However, contemporary times have witnessed a growing appreciation for diversity and a push for more inclusive representations of beauty in the industry. Despite the progress, both female and male wrestlers may still encounter pressure to conform to certain beauty ideals in order to achieve popularity and success. This has sparked important discussion about body image, self-acceptance, and the expectation placed on men and women within the world of sports entertainment. While some may choose to undergo cosmetic procedures to fit these standards, others advocate for embracing individuality and promoting a broader definition of beauty that celebrates uniqueness and authenticity.
Chyna is a powerful, strong woman. She's attractive, and she holds her own in a male-dominated environment. I want people to look at me and think that I'm beautiful and that I have a nice body and that I'm nice to look at, but I never wanted that to be my sole purpose. I think that women as a whole could do so much better than that.
Laura's journey to soften her appearance through surgical enhancements exemplifies the complex interplay of beauty standards in pro wrestling. Her ability to channel both strength and sensuality served as a testament to the changing perceptions of female wrestlers and their place in a dynamic and evolving industry. As we continue to navigate this landscape, it's crucial to foster a more inclusive and supportive environment that empowers women and men to embrace their true selves and challenge conventional notions of beauty.
I love every day going and dressing in the, where else can I wear this getup and get away with it?
Chyna's amazed by her success, proud of image. Walking through the bowels of Richmond Coliseum, Joanie Laurer hears a pack of fans screaming the name of her alter ego. "Chyna, we love you," they bellow, not caring that they are not authorised to be backstage. One man, who appears as if he might have had a frosty one or two, asks the ninth wonder of the world if he can shake her hand. Chyna grants him his wish. She is all too familiar with this adulation. WWF fans long ago caught the bug that is now starting to sweep through men and women around the country. It could be called the Chyna syndrome. WWF has fans in a headlock. "There are a lot of things I see and hear that make it very difficult for me," she says. "It's been a fight all the way, but that's why it is so great to have fans who say to me now, 'Joanie, you have worked so hard for this, you've reached your vision.'" Critics say the WWF exploits women, offering them as objects of desire and nothing more. Anytime anyone says the WWF exploits women, I say, "Holy cow, look at me, I'm in there fighting men, you can't be more equal than that." At the height of her popularity, Chyna was so famous that the WWE and Chaos Comics worked together to create her very own comic book series. Chaos Comics and WWF worked together to release a Chyna comic. Prepare yourself for an extraordinary spectacle. Behold the legendary ninth wonder of the world from WWF, as you've never seen her before. In this gripping saga of righteousness versus malevolence, Chyna returns to her bodyguard origins. Her mission, safeguard a prosperous industrialist's daughter from the sinister clutches of a diabolical death cult masterminded by the cunning Cassandra. And obviously Vince McMahon is the prosperous industrialist there. Witness as Chyna faces this daunting challenge head-on, defending the innocent with unmatched determination in an adrenaline-pumped tale of action. She confronts a ruthless mob of assassins in a battle of life and death. The stakes couldn't be higher, and Chyna stands tall as the sole defender of justice in the WWF's thrilling combat. Get ready for an epic adventure with all new photo cover capturing this essence of the enthralling narrative. Brace yourself for the awe-inspiring journey of Chyna the Guardian as she takes on an army of adversaries in an ultimate showdown of valor and might. Written by Stephen Grant, penciled by Eddie Barrows, and inked by Sandu Florea. But that wasn't the only comic book that featured Chyna. Battlemania was a WWF comic book that featured Chyna as a main character. The comic book was part of the WWF Battlemania series published by Chaos Comics. It was released in the late 90s and early 2000s and based on the backroom antics of the WWF and in-ring storylines. It featured popular wrestlers and personalities as characters in various action-packed stories. Chyna, being a prominent wrestler during that time, was included as a character in some issues of the series. The comics showcased Chyna's wrestling skills and her interactions with other WWE superstars. The storylines in the comic were often fictional and incorporated elements of the WWE's over-the-top entertainment style, blending wrestling action with comic book storytelling. WWF's Chyna ready with winning game plan. I believe you make your own destiny, but I know I had to push myself more than other people in this profession, says the top female star of the World Wrestling Federation. Sometimes I feel like some people who don't have as much talent are cared for more, just so they can be made into a star. And while her popularity almost equals that of her male counterparts, such as The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 6'2", 200-pound athlete says maintaining her stardom is always on her mind. There are always the newcomers with brighter, flashier gimmicks, selling themselves to audiences from the ring. She's a woman in a male-dominated arena, and that means she has to keep up with the spotlight and financially play with the big boys, who have earned millions because of their fame, and who are expanding their careers to movies and other non-wrestling projects.
What I really think people want to see is a woman like me kicking some guys.
In the captivating summer of 1999, the world of professional wrestling witnessed a groundbreaking moment as the trailblazing Chyna etched her name in history. The June skies bore witness to her triumphant journey as she emerged as the first woman to qualify for the prestigious King of the Ring tournament, marking a defining moment for her gender equality within the WWF. While her groundbreaking achievement alone would have been enough to secure her legacy, Chyna was not one to rest on her laurels. Her incredible talent and relentless pursuit of greatness propelled her to new heights. She had made waves as the first woman ever to earn the coveted position of #1 contender for the illustrious WWF Championship. However, fate had different plans, as the victory was snatched away by the crafty Mankind just before the fervent showdown at SummerSlam.
She was a believable contender for a title.
Undeterred by the setback, Chyna's fanbase rallied around her during a dramatic feud with the formidable Jeff Jarrett later that year. The intensity of their rivalry came to a head on October the 4th, 1999, when Chyna fearlessly challenged the formidable British Bulldog to a thrilling match on Monday Night Raw. She emerged victorious in a spectacle that will forever be etched in the annals of wrestling history. At Unforgiven, Chyna's indomitable spirit led her to vie for the coveted WWF Intercontinental Championship against the crafty Jeff Jarrett. Despite her valiant efforts, the victory eluded her grasp on that fateful night. However, destiny had something grander in store for Chyna. At the No Mercy pay-per-view event, she had her shot at redemption and seized it with both hands. In an epic Good Housekeeping match on October the 17th, Chyna bravely battled her nemesis and emerged triumphant, making history as the first and only woman ever to clinch the prestigious Intercontinental Championship.
That means that she's the #2 athlete in our industry.
In a remarkable turn of events, Chyna also acquired the services of Miss Kitty around this time, who had been the valet for her former foe, Jeff Jarrett. This alliance not only added a new dynamic to Chyna's character, but also brought an exciting twist to her already captivating journey. Nonetheless, Chyna's ascent to greatness was not without challenges and controversy. Rumours have since swirled around about Jarrett's demand of an exorbitant sum of $300,000 from WWF chairman Vince McMahon to gracefully lose the title to a woman.
I think she was having some doubts
Am I going to be able to live up to these expectations?
Nevertheless, this did not deter Chyna, as she fearlessly took on any challenge thrown her way, proving her mettle as a formidable force in the wrestling world. Chyna's gripping saga continued to unfold as she engaged in a fierce feud with the charismatic Chris Jericho over her beloved Intercontinental Championship. Their rivalry culminated in an explosive showdown at Survivor Series, where Chyna showcased her resilience and once again emerged victorious. However, wrestling is a world of unpredictability, and Chyna's reign as a champion was not destined to last forever. At Armageddon, she faced Jericho once again in a high-stakes battle, which saw the title change hands, marking a bittersweet moment in her career. Yet, Chyna's tenacity and unwavering passion for the sport drive her to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. The fateful edition of SmackDown on December the 28th witnessed a controversial climax to their rivalry, as both warriors pinned each other simultaneously, leading to a declaration by then Head of Authority Stephanie McMahon that they would be crowned as co-champions. The new year brought fresh challenges, as Chyna and Jericho were tasked with defending their co-championship status at the prestigious Royal Rumble pay-per-view event. The stakes were high, with Hardcore Holly joining the fray in a triple threat match to determine the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. In an electrifying contest, Jericho emerged as the ultimate victor, ending Chyna's co-champion reign. Although the WWE no longer officially recognised Chyna's co-champion reign, her impact on the wrestling world remains indelible. Her time as co-champion with Jericho may have come to an end, but her legacy as a pioneer for women in professional wrestling and as the first female Intercontinental Champion will forever be celebrated.
And there came a time when the evolution of Chyna had to happen.
I hate to say it's come to a pinnacle, because when you're at a pinnacle, you go the other way, and I do have a couple of other projects that I'd like to fulfill, but everything, it's just not like me. It's just not like Joanie Laurer to be accomplishing all these things, she said. I've been driving constantly all my life, and now all these things are happening all at once. Not only did I become successful in my career, which I thought probably would never happen, but I think I suddenly arrived there, and I realised it. I was so angry trying to get there that nobody would accept it, and once I got there it was like a big sigh of relief. Okay, I did it.
Chyna being out there in wrestling has given women an opportunity to look at a big girl, a pretty girl, a sexy girl, a do-it-all girl, an equal that is still feminine, and I think it's awesome. There aren't enough females making their mark out there in important male positions.
Chyna was a groundbreaking figure in professional wrestling, as she was one of the first female wrestlers to compete with male wrestlers on an equal footing. Her physical strength and imposing presence shattered stereotypes about women in sports and showcased that women could excel in traditionally male-dominated fields. Chyna was a highly skilled wrestler, known for her powerful moves and technical ability. She demonstrated that women could be just as competent and entertaining in the ring as their male counterparts, helping to elevate the status of all women within the wrestling industry. She exuded confidence and empowerment, inspiring others to embrace their uniqueness and stand up for themselves. Her persona as a strong, dominant force challenged traditional gender roles and encouraged fans to be themselves, regardless of societal expectations. Chyna's success in the wrestling world and her fearlessness in pursuing her dream made her a role model for young women and girls who aspired to enter male-dominated professions or achieve greatness in any field. Her muscular physique challenged conventional beauty standards at the time, and up until she had her surgeries, was unapologetic about her appearance. She promoted body positivity and demonstrated that there is no one ideal body type, encouraging others to embrace their own bodies and to be proud of who they are, unless you've got a big chin, in which case you've got to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get it surgically changed. This body positivity and her huge muscles even led WWE and Chyna to working on a release of a couple of workout VHSs. Video Den's Top 10 Video Rentals. Extra added attractions, non-movie releases, Chyna Fitness, WWF Home Video, $14.95. The female icon of the World Wrestling Federation provides a workout like no other, devised by fitness experts Michelle and Phil Dozios. With the distinctive physical condition Chyna keeps herself in, those who follow this course can bank on doing more than a touch of sweating, but the workout is designed for all fitness levels to be able to participate.
I don't know if you would call it an involvement of women's wrestling. I definitely think I played a part and paved the way, but I don't think that there will ever be another Chyna.
Beyond wrestling, Chyna had a lukewarm career in entertainment, including television appearances and even some adult films, which we'll talk about in part 2. While her choices were controversial, her ability to diversify her career showcased her business acumen and entrepreneurial spirit that she'd had from a young age. Chyna faced various personal struggles throughout her later life. Despite these challenges, she remained resilient and continued to inspire others through her perseverance. It's important to acknowledge that Chyna's life was not without controversy and difficulty, and she faced challenges both personally and professionally. However, her impact on the wrestling world and her influence as a role model for breaking barriers for young women and empowering young girls cannot be denied. Chyna's legacy continues to be remembered by wrestling fans and those who were inspired by her trailblazing career. In an episode which sees Sabrina accidentally driving her car into the car of a woman in front of her, we are treated to some terrible yet entertaining acting from iconic female wrestler Chyna, who, as you can imagine, is just as physically imposing during the episode as she was in the wrestling ring. The episode, called Driving Mr. Goodman, revolves around Chyna attempting to fraudulently claim insurance money from Sabrina following their automotive crash. Chyna overemphasizes her injuries in order to sue Sabrina and is only caught out when the witch uses a spell to give herself a muscular body akin to her new foe. After which, she challenges the 9th wonder of the world to a weightlifting competition. Not able to bear being outdone as the strongest woman in the gym, Chyna forgets her injuries in order to compete, and thus the episode concludes with Sabrina avoiding the lawsuit and continuing on with her witchy ways, whilst her muscled adversary gets charged with fraud. The third part of DX to feature in Pacific Blue comes when, during one of the final episodes in 2000, a pair of jewel smugglers attack and take hostage one of the biker team. In exchange for her release, they attempt to negotiate with the police for the release of their evil partner, a crazed, violent, bodybuilding woman who also happens to be the best safe robber in the world, and who also happens to be played by Joanie Laurer, better known to wrestling fans as Chyna. The 9th wonder of the world was seemingly attempting to get into more acting roles, as she features in several television programs in the late 90s and early 90s before her death. She had even featured the same week in an opposing role in Third Rock from the Sun, where she played a policewoman. She is massive, with toned arms and a look which makes her clearly overshadow all of the women she shares a screen with, and her fun personality and ability to play these kind of roles makes her stand out. Playing the out-and-out villain of the piece, we see the Pacific Blue team have no other option in order to get their friend back from her kidnappers than to let Chyna's character free, which leads to a hilarious shootout and the eventual demise of the bad guys. I could only find a terrible quality version of most of the entire Pacific Blue series, but even so, I thoroughly enjoyed Chyna's role and her character, and feel like out of the 3 DX members who feature in the program, she was the best natural fit for such a role. Even though their on-screen relationship had now ended, from 1996 to 2000, Paul Levesque, Triple H, and Joanie Laurer had a complex real-life relationship. The women are generally beautiful and barely dressed. This often boosts the wrestler's popularity as well. With the fans finally paying attention, they eventually get around to noticing the wrestler and his feats in the ring. Another reason for having a female manager or valet is protection. Yes, some male wrestlers use the women as bodyguards. The most popular case of this, of course, is Chyna and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. At the beginning of her WWF career in 1997, Chyna was brought in to be D-Generation X's bodyguard, but mostly Helmsley's. During matches, she would stand outside the ring and make sure nothing illegal happened. After a while, she got a little more involved and started interfering in matches to increase Triple H's chances of winning. And with her famous low blow, she often softens up his opponents for the finisher, the pedigree.
The place is completely sold out, and every son of a bitch in here was on his feet and never sat down once. That's what it's about for us, for the two of us, is to go out there and do that to these people. That's that's the shot for us. You know what I mean? That's where we got to have.
Both had become top stars within the company, and their connection and ability to support one another was seen as key to this. The benefits of the relationship were far from endless, however. The pair decided for a few years to keep the relationship a secret from other wrestlers and higher-ups in the WWF, for fear that they may view Joanie's involvement with one of the company's most notable performers as one of self-gain and sleeping her way to the top. On our televisions, Triple H and Chyna worked together to chase championship glory. Behind the scenes, Levesque and Laurer supported each other in more real-world ways. They lived together and shared the rent.
We had a huge house in New Hampshire. His career was moving up, and therefore he was having a lot of, meetings with Vince and Stephanie and like the crew there.
They travelled together to save money on petrol. They went to the same gym and ate at the same restaurants. The two grew close as their worldview and ambitions for the future appeared to be perfectly aligned. However, as we've seen so often in this story, Joanie's life was always only merely seconds away from going off the rails at any given moment, and for the most part it was all out of her control. As anyone who has ever suffered from mental health struggles, including myself, we know that the problems can be tackled and alleviated, but oftentimes they never truly disappear. When the young couple began to get more serious about their relationship, they started to disagree on fundamental parts of their future life plans. These disagreements led to arguments, which led to Joanie suffering from symptoms of a mental health breakdown.
I worry sometimes that I dedicate everything to this job and that maybe, 10 years from now I'm not doing this anymore and I will have not, gotten married or had kids or done things that normal people do.
Their relationship faced its challenges and eventually ended soon after. Triple H began dating Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of WWE chairman Vince McMahon, while he was still in that relationship.
By the time, Triple H and I started our on-screen storyline, we just sort of had great chemistry and it just went from there.
Something which behind the scenes, Joanie has discussed as the straw that broke the camel's back and a turning point for her mental well-being.
When I found out, I was devastated. It hurt me. I'm a human being, and nobody, whether you're a celebrity or whether you're not, likes to be cheated on, especially when it's with the boss's daughter.
They wouldn't have lasted whether Stephanie came into the picture or not. I have no animosity towards Paul. He was very good to Joanie. He cared about her deeply, but she just had too many issues. Still, I really do think Paul was the only man she ever truly loved. She was devastated.
She's Vince's daughter.
Sure.
As long as you keep her happy.
It's a hell of a cash upgrade.
And also, she's very feminine.
Right.
I mean, you would call her a feminine woman.
Right.
She's certainly not like Joanie.
This led to tension and conflict both personally and professionally. Chyna felt betrayed by Triple H and WWE and began feeling uncomfortable coming into work and being surrounded by all the drama.
Damn sweet when you get there, so keep trying.
Ready?
Ready, let's go.
Just a few months prior, Joanie had been on top of the wrestling world, but like so many occasions in her life, circumstances that were somewhat out of her control led to her making decisions which would lead to her downfall. Chyna's time with the WWF came to an end under contentious circumstances. Her personal life and relationships, particularly her romantic involvement with Triple H, who had now become one of the most prominent figures in the WWF both on and off screen, contributed to her departure.
Tell me whether your relationship with Triple H and now his relationship with Stephanie sped up your departure from the WWF.
Well, officially, I could say no, but I don't think I'll ever know the answer to that. In the back of my mind, I'd like to say, of course.
The exact reasons of her exit had not been fully disclosed at the time, but reports indicated that Chyna's personal struggles, alleged substance abuse issues, and her tumultuous relationship with both Triple H and the WWE management played a significant role.
This is a very short-lived business, and I just sometimes think, that day is going to come for me when I'm going to plan on being here, but suddenly I'll be gone.
This led to speculation that Chyna's departure was partly due to the complications arising from the love triangle and the company's desire to distance themselves from her. However, Chyna was never actually released from her contract or pushed out. She left because of how she felt about the way the company had sided with Triple H and the awkwardness of the entire situation, but she was never forced by the company. Don't look now, but it's bye-bye Chyna. The WWF and Joanie Laurer apparently have failed to come to terms in contract negotiations. In a brief statement last week, WWF talent coordinator Jim Ross said, "The Federation has ceased contract negotiations with Chyna and they will not resume. Chyna's contract expires on November the 30th and we wish her continued success. Her contributions to the Federation will be long remembered and are much appreciated." The current WWF Women's Champion Chyna has not appeared on WWF programs in recent weeks. If she is used on future shows, it most likely will be to set up a transfer of the women's title. Chyna was quoted recently in an interview as saying she had reached a crossroads in her career. In fact, Jim Ross has spoken of his desire to keep Chyna within the company at this time, offering her a large increase in her salary and a $400,000 per year contract, which she repeatedly refused to sign.
Because I did feel that I was top talent there, and I was included in every other aspect as far as top talent was concerned, except for financially.
Jim Ross added huge bonus clauses which would easily see Chyna double that contract downside guarantee and earn life-changing amounts of money doing what she loved. But still, she refused to sign, stating that if she was going to have to deal with the mental stress of being around Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and the whole ordeal left in the wake of their relationship, then the company would have to reimburse her for her trouble.
I was sitting in a Jerry's Deli eating lunch, and a fax mysteriously went to Jerry's Deli, and it was from the WWE, and they said they wouldn't be needing me anymore.
It was an outrageous demand that wasn't even realistic. She told Jim Ross that she wouldn't sign for less than $1 million per year guaranteed, and the negotiations reached a standstill until Chyna's contract eventually ran out. Joanie told me a few years later that she regretted it. The WWE was the only place where she was ever accepted. Once she lost that, she fell into a hole, and she never climbed out of it, leaving WWF. Chyna, the WWF Superstar, has officially left pro wrestling for a career in acting. Chyna, whose real name is Joanie Laurer, is in talks to star in a made-for-TV movie for Fox about a guidance counsellor at an inner-city school. In 2001, Chyna had reached her peak, and her light was about to fade fast. She exited the WWE and would never return to the one place where she truly felt like home. She would go into a terrible downward spiral which would see her shunned by those within the company and abandoned by those who she had seen as her true family. Tragically, Chyna's life would end prematurely in 2016, but her legacy continues to endure. Her impact on professional wrestling and pop culture remains profound. Though her journey was not without struggles, her resilience and determination in the face of adversity serve as an inspiration to countless individuals to the modern day. Chyna's career in WWE personified the glory of a trailblazing icon who shattered gender barriers, empowered women, and left an indelible mark on the wrestling world. Her undeniable presence, unmatched physicality, and achievements continued to inspire generations of female athletes and fans alike. As the ninth wonder of the world, Chyna's glory lies not just in her in-ring accomplishments, but in the lasting impact she made, forever cementing her place as one of the most influential figures in the history of professional wrestling.